One. Good afternoon. This is Animal Uncontrol. Welcome to the voice chat. These calls are recorded for uploading to social media, and by joining a call, you're consenting to being recorded. Anyone wishing to join a call should email me at animaluncontrol@gmail.com, and I will reply with instructions. Today's topics. Chef and Rikert will be discussing some video game development in the space. The first 30 to 40 minutes of the call will be dedicated to this. I ask that any other participants stay on mute until the close of the presentation, and then I'll open the call up to other topics and other members. Also, special shout out to Joe at Animal Abuse in Hungary. He is relocating out of the doghouse. Congratulations. Good luck with the move, and don't forget about us. Okay, so Chef and Rikert, what do you got?
Well, our internet just died, so he's trying to fix that right now, but he can talk through my phone. Can you say hello for us?
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. Oop. Hello.
Yep, still here.
Oh, hey. Hey, Bill.
Hey.
Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Anytime. Well, I mean, if you're having trouble on your end, I could segue into some of these other topics, or how do you want it? It's up to you.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, you want to
I think if you give me 5 minutes, I should be able to get things back.
Okay. Actually, too, is interesting. I had some other topics. Some just came up just a couple of minutes ago. We were talking about, being doxxed and revealing our identities, outside the space. And I've stated before, like, who I am. It's not the biggest secret. There's people in this space who know who I am. There's people in my personal life that know that I do this. And, many people are just right out front with it. Like, Chef, you point out, like, Colleen at dogsbite.org. She's actually been in the space a long time. I mean, going back to the 2000s. I mean, probably even before this even became a political issue. And I guess, the people, it's up to them, I guess. But I should emphasize that, this is a very contentious social and political issue. And we're dealing with, an adversary and opposition that can get really flaky. If you've ever, experienced, say, a level 5 nutter pulling their foaming at the mouth apoplectic rage monster routine, it's pretty scary stuff. I'm also aware of a few cases last decade with bloggers being stalked and the like. But in any case, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that, okay, if your face shows on here, it's like you're doomed, You're like it's not like The Ring, where you watch the video and 7 days later you're dead. I'm just making the point that it might be kind of risky,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like owning a pit bull. It's like, everybody who owns a pit bull doesn't get killed by the pit bull, or even badly injured by it, but it is kind of risky. So because it seems like maybe occasionally some people really don't take that part of this or that aspect of this all that seriously. And it's something that everybody needs to take seriously. But one reason I brought up the camera thing on this one was it was on one of the other videos. Somebody had their camera on, and I was like, if you want to show your face, go ahead. But there was a lot of sort of distracting sort of background artifacts as a result of that. So
and it can affect the connection too if people have their webcams on.
Yeah, right, because it consumes a lot more bandwidth. Sure. So, but it's something people need to be aware of. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, I wouldn't panic if something happens. And probably most of our adversaries probably aren't motivated enough to really do much anyway. But you never know. So.
Yeah, I carry weapons with me, so I'm thinking about blogging soon with the webcam.
It can, but when there's other, what I say, like dangerous in terms of, it's not just your physical safety, but it's also your your social capital or your standing in the community can be, impacted. Like, for example, they could try to, I never had this happen in this space, but I was actually a friend of mine. This happened in another internet space. They could try to get you fired from your job.
Yes, I remember you talking about that.
Or kick. Yeah, that actually happened to somebody I worked with, actually. Or
how did they find out where they worked?
Well, because our identity, we were just using our full names. They knew who we were, and it was a programming form. It was an old Usenet, both mods, and we worked together. And but it sort of dawned on me. But anyway, somebody else in the forum tried to get my coworker fired. The attempt failed, but it sort of dawned on me. It really struck me that, okay, this can, some of these contentions can become pretty serious. So they could try to get you fired from your job, or kicked out of school, or damage your social standing somehow. So you need to keep that in mind also.
Yeah, like putting your full name out there is probably riskier than just showing your face with no name. Like, I haven't revealed my name to anyone besides like one person.
Yeah, so.
And I guess it helps that I don't have a Facebook or anything, so they can't do reverse image search and try to find my Facebook profile that doesn't exist.
That's funny. I did a reverse image search on myself once, and actually, what popped up was a lot of the, last time I spoke about my career as a hike leader, that popped up. Interest, among other things. So, so somebody could do a reverse face search on me. So I'm not saying don't do it necessarily. It's just that people just need to be aware of the fact that, we're dealing with an adversary that don't exactly play fair. So,
yeah. So always good to err on the side of caution.
Yeah. And like I said, your physical safety isn't the only thing at risk. There was another, actually, maybe something I wanted to talk about real quick. You might like this. It's, where's my, oh yeah, I want to share this. And actually, this was, oh yeah, can you see this? Woman injured, husky killed when pack of dogs attack after escaping yard in Northwest Indiana. Can you see that?
I'm on mobile device, so yes, I can't see it.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure. So make sure I get the right share up. So, in any case, what happened here was this woman's walking her husky. I think she might have had somebody with her, and then they were attacked by a pack of actually American bullies. Those pit bull knockoffs. Yeah, 8 to 10 American bully breed dogs escaped from a fenced backyard. This is in suburban Indiana near Chicago. What are 8 to 10 dogs of any breed doing in a suburban backyard? It's ridiculous. And attacked a woman and her dog who were walking the area. So several good Samaritans tried to stop the attack. This was interesting. In the middle of the chaos, a man with a gun came over and shot and killed one of the dogs.
Nice.
Yeah, but what was interesting about that was they don't know who the man was. He was like some masked avenger, I guess. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew where he went. Apparently, he just shot one of the dogs dead and just ran away. And you got to think, okay, why? But it comes down to the issue is like, yeah, he probably realizes that, he could face some, penalties for, terminating the furry Jesus. So he probably didn't stick around. But I thought that was kind of an interesting scenario. But what's also interesting is that this is the worst thing I've ever seen that was animal related at all. Well, yeah, now that you got XL bullies in your town, you're going to see a lot more of it. I kept seeing how many dogs there were there. It felt like ants trying to pile on top of something. There were just so many, and they were everywhere. It's like, It's the pit bull apocalypse. So anyway, so the woman, the dog owner, ended up with 52 stitches. Her dog, which is a white husky, had to be euthanized due to the severity of injuries. I'm just upset at the whole situation. It's something that was very avoidable. Yeah, like by not owning pit bulls.
Or owning 8 or 10.
Yeah, only 10 of them. Well, that's the thing is, one reason they limit the number of dogs in the community, per household, is to avoid pack behavior. Pit bulls don't need to be in a pack to be dangerous, but really 8 to 10 dogs of any breed is often, restricted, in many communities. And it's just a terrible idea. You also have a situation similar to what Bad is going through, where they've completely befouled the land. Like the whole lot has been turned into just this fetid, festering, cesspit of sludge, just like sort of oozing everywhere. And then when it dries and then it blows into the air, so now you have aerosolized dog crap and dog urine blowing everywhere. It's a big public health issue. So this shouldn't be allowed at all. I mean, so the fact that these dogs present danger is probably just the tip of the iceberg. So it also, of course, and predictably. Okay, so NBC5 reached out to police for further information about why the dogs were returned. So the owner got all the dogs back except for the one that the vigilante shot dead. So the Thursday night, police said charges were pending against the owner of the dogs. Yeah, let's just give the dogs back so they can, attack the next person walking their dog. I don't have any sympathy for the other dog owner because, their husky owner, they get those are power dogs also. They're baby killers. They also kill, cats and other animals. I really don't have any sympathy for a husky owner that got tore up by pit bulls in the walk. It's like, pfft.
Taking your dog out for a walk, it seems like that's presenting a risk already, just the act of having a dog and getting out and walking it. Because if you have a mini mutt, even a pit will see that and it'll just beeline towards the mini mutt.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull, because that's what they're bred to do. And even in my neighborhood, there've been a couple of pit bull attacks, and both of them actually they're both people walking their dogs. Two that I know of. And I literally live in a crime-free area with the exception of that. So the first one was interesting. You might be interested in this because this is where I got my idea about what to do if somebody else is attacked by a dog. So a man was walking his dog, his non-pit dog, about a block and a half from here, and two loose pit bulls attacked them. One pit bull attacked him. The other pit bull started tearing up his dog. So what he did was he put the dog that was attacking him, he put a chokehold on it, right? He squeezed his neck in such a way that the blood flow was cut off to the brain. So the dog that was attacking him passed out due to the chokehold. Then he went to the dog that was attacking his dog, and he had a pocket knife. So he cut that dog's throat, killing it, right? So it bled out and died. While he was doing that, the dog that had been attacking him recovered and ran off. But that's good information, so you know how to if one of these dogs is attacking someone else, say, I think that a knife is a really good response to that, because you don't have to worry about stray bullets or any of that stuff. Although I'm all for shooting them too, but.
And there's also that video of the guy who was strangling the pit bull, but he didn't kill it. He let the dog off easy. I'd say if you're gonna put a dog in a rear naked chokehold because it's attacking you or someone else, just kill it at that point. Euthanize it on site.
Yeah. It was interesting too, because I know with the subject matter we're about to cover, I thought of something just today because, you see videos of these pit bull attacks all the time where it's, maybe attacking another animal or even a person, but it seems like nobody's really doing much. Like you said, like nobody's really going in for the kill, or very rarely. And you think, why? Like, why is there so much inhibition there? Like, yeah,
They're
why not
probably
just
dog
go?
nutters.
Yeah, well, they're dog nutters, or I think there's a couple of theories, I have myself, but yeah, well, yeah, they're dog nutters. But I was, well, one other reason people are inhibited is that most people, like myself, for example, we know that, dogs are protected. I mean, they probably have more protections by the state than humans do in a lot of cases. I mean, too, as you kill a dog, you could be looking at, a stay in a gray bar hotel for animal cruelty. And you could say, well, it's obviously self-defense and it's BS. But, again, the whole system is rigged in favor of dogs. So people are aware of that. And the other thought I had, too, is, again, everybody, even if they're not necessarily dog cultists themselves, but everybody's been conditioned to, love and adore and respect these things from birth, right? It's deeply ingrained in the culture. So, and I was thinking about that, and I remembered something I'd read about a long time ago. And this book is called On Killing, okay? And this relates to actually soldiers killing each other in battle, but I think it applies to this space also. And what they found out was, this book was written by this Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. So he's, like exploring the psychology of the act of killing, right, and so forth, and dealing with the consequences. And it was sort of based on the work of this General Marshall who'd written on the issue. And he said that, he believed, and I think this may have been partially debunked, but the TLDR is that even soldiers trained for battle are very hesitant to kill, many of them, right? They don't want to take a life. So what they'll do is they either won't fire their weapon, or they will miss intentionally to avoid killing somebody. And part of what they did was they being, the Army training people, and perhaps other branches of the military also, they had been using bullseye targets for firearm training. And what they did was they found if they switched it silhouette targets, like targets that resembled, humans, they would be more likely to shoot, right, and hit what they were shooting at in battle. So I thought that was really interesting, was because, there's a lot of, again, the TLDRs, there's a lot of inhibition towards killing. And I believe that applies to this space also. Even if you take somebody who doesn't like dogs, they're still going to hesitate. And actually, it even applies to me. I vlogged about an incident I had last spring when I was hiking, and I got charged by an off-leash pit bull. And, and I drew because I had my, pistol, in my, inside the belt holster, and that dog was running at me, and the owner couldn't see me because she was around a bend in the trail. And I was yelling at her. I was like, "Get your dog." He's like, "He's friendly." And this dog is charging at me. So I drew, I pointed it at him, and, and I yelled, "Stop." And when I yelled at him, he just, he did a 180 and ran back towards her. But even then, I did hesitate. I mean, he was probably within, the self-defense range. But, I did hesitate. I guess perhaps in spite of myself. I guess I would have shot him before he'd actually bit me. Because I think that's what people need to realize, too, is that, killing really anything is harder than you think, in reality. People talk about it in the abstract, but it's actually more difficult, or at least initially, it's more challenging than people think. People need to be aware of that too.
Yeah, killing can take a big toll on someone.
Yeah, well, it's not just the after, but even going, leading up to it. So how's that internet connection? You back online?
Good. I tried to figure out what was wrong with the fuse box. I can't figure it out, so I just used an extension cord and I'm using a different outlet to plug everything in.
That works. High-tech solution, right? So how about I'll go back, I'll drop the share and I'll let you take it.
All right.
All right. So it's all yours.
Okay. So my first time using Skype in years. So let's see.
The share screen button is on the lower right. At least
okay.
on mine, yeah.
All right. So looks like I can select what screen to record. So I'll start up my game. Let's see. Computer sounds. Let's see. All right. Can you?
I see there's a big gray block in the middle.
All right. Let's see. Can you see the game?
Yeah, you know what I see is it's sort of, the middle is kind of grayed out.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Can you turn the volume down on the game?
Yeah. Oh, you can hear it?
Yeah, it's really loud.
Sorry.
Okay, now I can see it. That looks yep.
All right. Turn this down.
Thank you.
So give us sort of a synopsis of the game.
Okay.
Okay. Now I see that. Now the center, it's all grayed out again.
Huh. Okay. So let me try this again. It's not giving me an option for the. All right. Well, I'll go on my desktop then. Let's see. All right. Can you see it now?
Yep,
Yes.
that looks good. Yep.
Okay. So synopsis for this. So this game, it's my first game I've published on Steam and on itshot.io.
Okay.
It's mainly just a Bop It clone, if you've ever played that. So there's a lot. There's a Bop It, Punch It, and Twist It. And these are the different levels. So I know the main one is this. So in this game, you have a normal mode and a free play mode. And the free play mode is kind of the reason I made it, just because it's really fun to. Can you hear sounds coming from it?
I mean, we did before. We heard the music before. Now we don't, but that's okay. We can see it. Maybe if you do a desktop share, the sound doesn't come through.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can send some video of this, but basically, it just it's in the free play mode. You can just go around and hit the arrow keys and beat it up, and as you beat it up, there's more scars. The reason the sounds is because when you do it, there's lots of cartoon sound effects when you do it. So when you twist it, there'll be just a sludge sound, and then you can also press Z to adjust the speed, so you can make it go like really slow, and then you can speed it up, and then if you go in the red, it gets really fast, and the noises overlap each other, so it gets really distorts it.
But Fido looks so happy. How could you hurt him?
I like the shit in the background.
Yes, so just making it the background just all dog associated things.
All the negative dog associations.
Yes. Now, if you play on the normal mode, it's a Bop It game, so you just follow what it
The
what
prompts.
pops up. Yeah.
Dog is fine.
It's fine. See, it's smiling, so. His tail's
It doesn't
wagging.
even look like it. Looks like a hot dog with a face on it.
Will do.
Or banana.
Yeah, or a banana.
In normal mode, if you don't hit anything, then the game over is that just it lunging at you. But that's it. But that's all the game is. It's Bop It, a Bop It
Okay.
clone. Some variants. There just so happens to be a dog a variant you can play of it.
So aren't you afraid of getting sorry, Bill. Aren't you afraid of people accusing you of dog abuse and trying to cancel your game?
Well, it's not that popular anyway, so don't have to worry. But if I did, then like the first to unlock the dog stage, you have to do the other stage, which is beating up this guy. So people are fine with beating up a person, but as soon as it gets to the dog, then that's when they have
But he
problems.
looks evil. Like he doesn't even look like he. Of course, the dog doesn't look like a dog either. I wonder what kind of graphics can you put into this? Like, could you use like if I gave you a GIF of a dog, could you like substitute that? Like if I was to send you a GIF of say Mick the Mauler, could we put that in there?
I'd have to organize all the images, and I haven't worked in this game for a while, so I'd have to familiarize myself again with it. But it can certainly work with other images if I organize them properly.
Okay. Yeah, because if we could get like a known mauler in there, like, or maybe the dogs that killed those two kids in Tennessee last fall, put it in there, they'd be like, yeah, people could really get into that, you know.
That's a good idea.
You know, well, yeah, because you know that's the thing is that we're talking about the art and stuff and writing books or producing certain space related works that something like that would be really cool. I'll get you a photo, or you could just look around see if you can get a photo of one of these maulers and see if you get that in the game, because
I definitely have plans for future plans for games, and there being dogs, and in my games dogs don't there's no a lot of the game culture, there's pet the dog, that's an option in any game that has, and there's even like Twitter I'm sorry, not Twitter, X profiles
we know what you mean.
Profiles that are specifically called "Can you pet the dog?" or websites that tell you in a game if there's a dog in it and if you can pet it. So with the games I'm making, they won't fall. It will not follow the "Can you pet the dog?"
Yeah.
It'll be, can you kill the dog?
Yeah.
Yes.
I seem to remember a while back, it was like 20 years ago, when I would play Half-Life. They were zombie dogs though, but there was shoot dogs quite often in that game. If that's my recollection. Or maybe I'm mixing it up. What was the other one I used to play? I used to play Half-Life, and now I can't remember the name of the other one. I'm pretty sure Half-Life you had to kill, because they would attack you, so you'd have to shoot them. You'd lose health points if you let the dog attack you, so you'd have to shoot it.
I'm trying to recall. I only know a few games. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. That one has dogs. There's Postal 2 that has dogs walking around. But it might be like custom mods or custom games people put into that.
I took a Python programming class a few years ago, and one of the class assignments was to develop an old school Space Invaders game in Python. And I actually got it to work. But the thing is, you could, for an alien, you can substitute any GIF you want. Actually, I never even thought of that until right now. I was like, I could take that. I could easily, I still have it someplace, take that, but would swap in like photos of dogs. So instead of shooting the aliens, you're just zapping dogs with the with the cannon, right? You know, it's you remember the old Space Invaders game from the 70s? Because that's all it is. Really, that's all that those aliens are, at least in the modern computing environments. They're just animated GIFs, essentially. So you could put anything in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I like working in games. I may not be doing anything too special gameplay wise, because a lot of games, a lot of them are rehash of other games with only a minor twist to it. But I think the big one is the coat of paint you use to decorate that game. And
yeah.
Do you know of the game Vampire Survivors?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't play games anymore. Cause I guess I'm sort of a recovered like gaming addict, so I try I try not to do too much with it.
Fair enough. Yeah, with Vampire Survivors and any game like it, you play as your character it's a swarm like horde mode. So instead of zombies coming at you, it's whatever these games set them up to be. Some have zombies, but they'll come at you in the hundreds and eventually get into the thousands, and you're just just shooting these things rapidly.
Uh-huh.
So I could see. Unfortunately, with the engine I use, I couldn't do something like that, but I could very easily see that same template, but just instead of zombies or goblins coming after you, it's dogs.
Yep. Yeah. Well, one of the book ideas I had, and it would actually would translate well into one of these newer video games where you have this whole really complex narrative, right? And you've got, like apocalypse survivors, like, having to kill, genetically modified dogs like super pit bulls, basically, to survive. As part of it, you also have like you'd also have like super pit nutters, like you'd also have other people, because that's the thing is like you would also have other humans essentially running interference for them. Oh, you can't shoot a wiggle butt, can't do it, can't do it, even though like a million people got killed by them yesterday. You can't do it. They're just misunderstood. Those folks, they just weren't properly trained in how to read dog body language, right? And that would be good to like get in all those narratives. I know that like a game like that would be a big project. And it's probably not something you could base off a template. Like you'd probably have to really do a lot of heavy coding, but it would also be good at sort of getting the point across. It not just about the dogs themselves, but how toxic dog culture really is.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think mostly inserting dogs into games. You can just have them, just straight up be killing dogs, and I'm sure that sends a message. But I think a lot of where the more impactful stuff comes in is commenting on the culture of it. So this culture that doesn't allow you to kill dog, or not like even defend yourself.
Yeah, even defend yourself, dogs. Or even like speak out about it.
Mm-hmm.
Pit nutters make for excellent NPCs because they have this set number of dialogue lines and they just repeat it like, "Oh, you read dog body language. Not all pit bulls are bad."
Yeah.
I've had my pit bull for 10 years and it's never attacked anyone. And then that just repeats.
Yep.
Go in a circle.
Yeah.
One mechanic I thought in a game, working just one of those things on the list to implement, but you're in this open game where you can walk around and talk to people, and they'll be animals, but you can't understand them. At some point, you'll find a device that some scientist will give you a device that lets you talk to animals, but when you go to talk to them, all they say is food.
Yeah. Well, there was a cartoon. I don't know if it was on the if I posted it to anti-dog memes, but that was what it was somebody, the scientists had come up with a translator that would translate dog noise into English. And all they're doing is yelling, hey, the barking, hey, 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 hey.
Fuck.
I think Dexter has a pretty good accurate episode about what dogs.
Oh yeah, I posted a
like.
clip of that in my community section. Hey you dogs, I'm barking. I'm a dog. Can you hear me barking? Hey dogs, hey you.
Too funny. Yeah, but actually this has given me a lot of good ideas. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to find that Python game and I'm going to clone it and see if I can swap in a photo of or a GIF of maybe Mick the Mauler, one of these other dogs, and in place of the alien spaceships, and see if I can get that to work. That would be freaking. I mean, it would be funny for about 20 minutes, but it would be totally hilarious. That is going to be so funny.
The pit nutters are going to lose their shit over it.
Oh yeah.
Glorious.
I always show that photo. I got a Mick with a bone in his mouth. Some things. That was great. Yeah, Rikert, thanks for sharing. That's cool stuff, and people can see what's possible. What framework did you use to develop that? I know I know it runs in Steam. Do they have is there like a developer studio for that or something, or how does that work?
Yeah, so to make a game, you need an engine, and there's a lot of the common ones are Unity, Unreal, but the one I use is RPG Maker, which is not one you typically associate with games like the ones I make. They're usually for just really small, pixelized, like Final Fantasy type games from the NES or SNES era. But I'm just able to. I played around with it so much that I'm like, oh, if I do this and I put images in like this, I can get to work without it looking like default assets. It's engine, so a very unconventional engine, but it's one that I like to use just because I don't know anything about coding.
Okay.
So it works on a drag and drop method, and you essentially set up triggers and conditional triggers. That's all it is.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. What was the other thing I wanted to? Oh, I don't know if you wanted to shift gears, but there was I commented on a YouTube video, and what was it? Now I don't even remember what it was about. I get involved in so many of these things, but I commented that folks who, like, particularly dog owners that victim blame should be, I mean, depending on the precise circumstances, should be sued for libel, slander, defamation, whatever form it takes. And, the response was that, sued how? It's like, well, I mean, I could sue anybody for anything, whether it goes anywhere, depends. But it seems to me that, and I don't know if that's ever happened, because that's the thing is, like, the victim blaming is just, I mean, it's a systemic, rampant amongst, well, not just pit bull, all dog owners, really. They always blame the victim, anybody but themselves. But I know in many of these cases, and I think it may be the Mick the Mauler case may have been one of them, where, many people made sort of material statements about what happened that were patently false. Like they said, oh, this happened, or so-and-so did this, when they didn't, and they know they didn't, right? And to me, that seems like, that's perhaps. I mean, maybe it's just a frontier of law that hasn't been tested yet. I don't know if that's ever happened, but I would imagine in some of those cases, there's something to be made, because I'm all for, like, these dog owners. I mean, it's bad enough they're allowed to own these things at all, but the fact that they, injure and kill others pretty much with impunity is just sickening. And it would be good to, maybe introduce some new aspects into it. I mean, ideally, we'd criminalize these dog attacks. But, in addition to that, I think that, and suing the dog owner for personal injury is something that does happen quite often. Of course, in that case, I know what it was. Now I'm trying to remember what case it was. There was a case where it was actually I don't know if they were homeless, but a family was panhandling at an intersection. And the pit bull, there's 3 pit bulls in a car. One of them jumps out the window, attacks the panhandlers. So then the driver tries to fetch the dog, but in doing so, he let the other 2 dogs out, and they joined in on the fight. So this whole thing breaks out. I think I was commenting on that, and they're saying, well, a homeless family has nothing to go after. I'm like, but it wasn't the dog owner was not the homeless person. The homeless person, I don't know. I mean, not everybody who's panhandling is homeless, but the dog owner was the driver of the car. Hint, hint, a car is an asset. That's something you can execute on. So I thought that was interesting. And that's an idea I'd like to get into the space, is that, I mean, you can, insulting people is protected speech. Like, I can just say, hey, that was all your fault, and there's really nothing you can do about it. But if I say, well, you did this, and that's why it happened, then it's like, okay, if it's something provable or disprovable, then it might be something you can get traction on. Again, not a lawyer, don't play one on TV, not giving legal advice. But to folks in that type of situation, is something you might, look into. If the dog owner has been making false statements that are, damaging to your character or harmful to you in some way. So you can go after them, get them any way you can. Unfortunately, there's precious few ways to do that. Any thoughts on that?
I think, well, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not too versed in what you can, the legal field, what you could do in situations like that. I guess in any situation like that, if something's happening, have someone take a video of it. That way you have some solid evidence of what actually took place to counter whatever they say, whatever statements they make about what happened.
Yep. Yeah, we pointed out also in the Discord where, they often, dog people, I mean, they lie. Like in Kidder's case, we're talking about his case, because he tried to get a restraining order against his dog nut neighbor because the dog was a nuisance barker, and it just escalated until, this dog owner is now like threatening people with physical violence. And so it actually went to court, tried to get a restraining order, and apparently this dog person just flat out lied to the judge, and the judge didn't care, and that's a, very, very serious matter. Getting some background noise there. It's a very serious matter, and it's like, well, I'm going to say why. Well, I guess they're dog people, they're just above the rules. So unfortunately, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, there's more service dog funsies here. Let's see. Oh, this one. Oh, wait, am I sharing? Let me turn the share back on. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Let's see, start sharing. So I have this, Lancaster dog deemed dangerous after court hearing. So this is a service dog, a genuine service mutt. So a verdict, let me see if I can zoom in on this a little, has been reached in the case of Bandit, a helper dog alleged to have bitten his owner's neighbors. Now, was that the task the dog was trained to perform? When they ask, like, what task has a dog been trained to perform? Well, he just, runs all over the neighborhood attacking people. They're like, okay. And actually, I mean, technically, it's probably not illegitimate because there's no definition of what constitutes like a legit service dog task. It could literally be anything, He's trained to pee all over the water meter, So in any case, they said, so this dog's an Alaskan Malamute, will be humanely euthanized or rehabilitated. So there was a 6-hour hearing, between prosecution, defense, and all the due process that comes out of this. It's like, this is just putting a ridiculous burden on our legal system. So several witnesses were called to the stand, including one of the victims and also this Gilly, who's the owner. She said she was bitten by the dog. She said her son and a neighbor's child were in her yard when the dog approached them. She got in between the dog and the children, grabbing his collar to move him away. She said Bandit bit her and held on during the incident. I thought only pit bulls did that. But in any case, her husband also testified that he had been bitten in a prior incident and alleged that he saw the dog bite the owner. So also during the hearing, dog training expert testified, and she believes that he can be rehabilitated. Of course, I wonder who's going to get paid to rehabilitate this dog. Her, probably. Proper like that. What training regimen, is indicated here? Like, how do you train a dog out of attacking random people? What is that? They always say, well, it's a training issue. It's like, okay, be specific. How are you going to do that? But that's never indicated. It's just some vague reference to training. So she recommended a series of changes around the house and additional training to prevent any further incidents. So the owner takes the stand, and he suffered a traumatic brain injury, which is probably why he wants the dog in the first place, and that the dog has helped him get back. Well, that's what it is. It's like, I guess it's circular. You say, okay, it's like, well, I need, a dog to help with my mental illness. Well, what's the nature of the mental illness? Well, I like dogs.
Well, the thing is, the task has to be directly related to the person's disability. So they could say, this is my service dog, and the task it's trained to perform is to delete little kids for my disability. It helps with my anxiety.
Yeah, like small children, trigger my PTSD. So Fido just kills them, then I don't have to worry about it. See, I mean, in theory, that could be a legit service dog task.
Right.
I mean, I think technically, though, doesn't it say in the law that a protection dog is not a legit service dog? Although I guess it could be both. Like a seeing eye dog could also be an attack dog, I guess, in theory.
I believe that it can't be an attack dog, but it can defend you, meaning it can take the heat of the punch, basically. But if it's trained to be aggressive, I remember reading service dogs are not trained to attack and be aggressive. That's not a service dog.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, he suffered a traumatic brain injury, and the dog has helped him get back to normal. So does he still need the dog now that he's normal? Oh, Gilly said he suffers some seizures, and the dog is able to detect and help. But it goes to the question, too, if he has a seizure, what is a dog going to call an ambulance? He has also testified he's never been bitten by Bandit before, nor has he used him as a weapon. But the other, the other victim is saying that he has seen the dog bite the owner. And usually, again, I wasn't there, but in these cases, I never give the dog owner the benefit of the doubt. You know, I mean, we can't, you can't prove the dog hasn't bitten anybody. I mean, the proof or burden of proof goes on the person making the claim. But, you know, this dog is, you know, is a biter. So the court maintains even after 6 hours of court time, they still haven't figured out what to do.
The solution is simple.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but
just
isn't that yeah? Isn't that ableist? Isn't it ableist to?
Of course.
Yeah.
Just encourage finding alternatives.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know the thing is that it's you know, it's such an inaccurate way to, among other things, you know, to address the problem. But, you know, I mean, it's bad enough they bring these stink beasts to restaurants and grocery stores. Oh, and I had another white pill on that pursuant to the last time. But, and it seems like there's a lot of pushback there. But even a lot of these, you know, so-called legit service dogs, it's like, what is this? Is it really helping? I know that there's the claim made, but I mean, this is just a worthless mutt. I mean, the dog is too dumb to keep itself out of trouble. It's like it just runs the neighborhood and just attacks random people. Like, what kind of medical equipment is that? I mean, you ever see, like, often medical equipment or say, like, drugs will come with warnings. Possible side effects will attack and maul neighbors. Like, what kind of grab-astical, like, medical equipment or device is that? That's ridiculous.
Well, no treatment is without its side effects.
I guess.
So
but in this case, though, the side effects affect others. That's the problem. You know, like if you take. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. I was gonna say it's weird that these people treat these animals, or well, that's debatable too. But treating these things like they're machines.
Yeah.
It's you think it'll do A and B, but no, it'll do all these other things. It'll do X, Y, Z, the things you don't want it to do.
Yep. Yep.
It's a weird mentality thinking these things are more than what they are, which is a thing with instincts and predator tendencies.
Predator
particularly.
Tendencies. The other thing too is that particularly service dogs in, I could see even just, you know, banning even legit service dogs, even if we move forward with this and maybe make it a permitted activity. And I'm actually going to segue into that in a couple of minutes. But even then, I think that particularly now that we've got DoorDash and curbside pickup, I think the time has come to just ban dogs, really all animals, but, you know, it's always a dog, right? In all establishments that sell or serve food, because dogs are so food centric, food aggressive, really. And anybody who's, you know, had a dog or spent time around dogs knows that. I mean, all animals are. I know like horses are and cats are, but nothing. I mean, again, I always say Fido is in a class by himself. He's literally 100 times more food focused than any other creature out there. No exaggeration. I mean, all animals like food, but not like that. Like, you know, the endless begging. Like I tell, like with my stepdad's dogs, it's like, and he was pretty strict with them. He was, quote, a good dog owner, but you know, they come in and they were forbidden to be in the kitchen at meal times or in any eating area. But, you know, they come in, they start begging. He'd yell at them, you know, go get it. He'd point and they'd slink off, you know. But then 5 minutes later, they'd come back and start begging again. And he never gave them anything. We were forbidden. Finger to the face. No, don't give them anything. No people food. Forget it. But they just endlessly did it. It's a constant, you know, like I said, this constant food obsession. You know, it's nuts. And an animal like that, I mean, no animal belongs in a grocery store, restaurant, or any food establishment. But I think like literally a dog is like the worst animal you could bring into a grocery store. Like if you were to rank like at least all domestic animals and say, okay, from like least bad to most bad, Fido would be at the bottom. He would be like, that is the last animal you want to bring into any place that sells or serves food. I don't care how much he's been trained. It's just a terrible idea.
That's unsanitary. It's
that definitely, yeah.
Obviously, yeah. But it's just like it. Why are we mixing animals with food?
Yeah, well, I mean, supposedly because they help people do tasks, but the thing, well, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too is they're also probably way more filthy and disgusting than most of these other animals. But I think that the takeaway is that, you know, okay, you got this dog trained to do some work. We're assuming, I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt. Okay, the dog has been trained to do some legit work for the handler. But the thing is that how do you expect a dog to do its work when it's distracted by all this, right? Like in all these, it's like, again, like I said the other day, it's like taking an alcoholic to a liquor store. It's just a terrible idea. You know? Oh, man. So, but pursuant to that, there's another news item here because last week I shared a news item it was from Boca News, and Boca is a southeast Florida community. This is from Tampa Bay Times. And it's the same grocery chains, Publix. Publix has a big presence down here. Actually, I just went to Publix earlier today, and it was in a Publix store a while back that I was grocery shopping, and I smelled a dog piss. And I think I'd appreciate too is this. It's kind of, I don't know if it's super high end, but it's higher end grocery shopping, right? It's like it's a little bit on the expensive side, but what they want a good, shopping experience for the customers, right? That's one of their goals. And it's interesting. It's an employee-owned business also. And they have about 1,600 stores throughout the Southeast. But there's a second one. So this Tampa Bay Times has also printed a news article on how they say, no pets allowed. This includes emotional support animals. Only service animals are permitted. And it says there's another sign. They got one sign here on the left and another one on the right. No pets. Of course, they mean dogs. I don't think I've ever seen a cat in a grocery store or a bird or anything like that. It's always a dog. So anyway, too, so they put the sign up. So they said, Publix is taking a stand on dogs. As in, unless they are service animals, no pet dogs perusing the produce aisle. No pups riding high in grocery carts. No dogs tucked into shopping totes. Popping up in store lobbies because I saw this, and it's true. It's in my neighborhood store also. From Asheville to Boca are tall signs in Publix green. The play cards counsel customers that while legitimate service animals, of course, how do you know if they're legit? It's very subjective because there's no proofing system. Emotional support animals and pets definitely are not. Okay. The signs say that under federal law, service animals are dogs or miniature horses. I've never seen a miniature horse service animal, fake or legit either. It's always a dog, which goes back to what we're talking about. It's like this whole thing is BS. These are dog people, essentially advancing or promoting their interests, their dog interests. Okay. And the Food and Drug Administration does not allow non-service animals, because that's what people need to realize too, is like dogs in food establishment is banned at the federal level, it's banned at the state level, and it's banned at the local level in most places. So it's like bringing a dog to a grocery store violates a whole slew of laws. But, but you have the service dog loophole. Okay, that means even note from a doctor, dogs, pets, and other animals, right, or emotional support do not qualify as service animals. Okay, what's more, trying to pass off a pet as a service animal is against the law in Florida and other states. But again, the problem is, how do you prove? We were talking before about, we were talking about the, libel lawsuits and so forth. Now, you can sue over something if somebody makes, a material claim, something can be proven or disproven. But how do you prove that the dog is legit? Because the law specifically says, no actual proof is required. There's no hard card ID or anything like that required. And then all they have to do is lie convincingly, and they're in. They'll just, learn how to answer the two questions. So we do have new signage in all stores. People ask, and a lot of it, they thought generally good. Generally the feedback is good, so that's good. The Boca article, the comments, I would say 90 to 95% were favorable, even including some dog owners. We're like, yeah, I like my dog, but no, I don't take him to the grocery store because a grocery store is not a fit place for a dog. So it's good to know there's still a few sane dog people left. But and of course, there was a couple, I went through this last time, a couple of, dog nut commenters throwing tantrums, but that just goes to the point, like what lunatics those people are, Well, don't the communists at Boca News have anything better to do?
Even though there are dog lovers that are supporting this no pet policy.
Yeah. I love animals, they're not the place for everyone to drag Fido. Not everyone is comfortable with an encounter with a dog while shopping. The thing that makes me the most uncomfortable about it is that it's just the nauseating, entitlement attitude of these dog people. It's not necessarily entitlement, even like this elitist attitude. They're like, hey, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to stick to the rules. I say my service dog's a service dog is a and it is, suck it, dog hater. I really it makes me seethe. I just despise these people. Because they're confident that nobody's going to call them out. Nothing's going to happen to them.
They never have that internal dialogue of, is what I'm doing, is that good for others?
Yeah.
Am I hurting other people by doing this?
Yeah, or even then, because I warn them that, what they're doing is going to trigger a backlash. And maybe this is the beginning of it. Maybe this is the very, like the first crack in the dam where, you sort of have like this, we wind up with this preference cascade, or maybe like a reverse preference cascade, I thought you could call it, where like everybody, maybe this Publix thing kicks in. And maybe, maybe some of these businesses, I need to do that. I need to get my draft letter, to Congress in front of them. I'm like, what? And people have pointed out, yeah, maybe us little people can't get much done, particularly at the federal level, but these big companies can. If the board of directors, all were to all sign off on that draft letter and send it in, that might get something done. People don't remember that the TLDR, the draft letter, was, we need to make all service dog related activities, formally permitted. They need a hard card ID issued by a governing body to do these things. Okay, it's perfectly reasonable. Of course, I got all the backlash was like, you're ableist and you hate disabled people and you hate dogs and you're the reincarnation of Hitler and you're the spawn of Satan and all that shit, right? The usual stuff, but whatever. It's like, and yeah, I mean, that's the thing is even if they know what they're doing is harmful to others, they do it anyway. In fact, many of them do it for that reason. Right. Like, I mean, some dog nutters are just totally self-focused and stupid, but many of them do what they do intentionally. Like with a dangerous dog or the endlessly barking dog, they do it. It's intentional.
More businesses really need to take advantage of the fact that they can tell the person to come back without the service dog, because these people have found out a loophole within the ADA to bring their pet anywhere. So, and it says in the ADA that if the goods cannot be obtained with the dog, then offer the person the goods to be obtained without the dog. So more businesses need to say, no, you can't bring it in, but if you want to return without the dog, or if you want to order takeout, we can do that.
Yeah.
That's their right.
Yeah. And like I said, we're discriminating against the dog, not the person.
Exactly.
We're not necessarily saying dog people can't go to restaurants or whatnot. It just don't bring your dog with you. It's not a big ask. So this is encouraging. And like I said, it is actually encouraging me to do more also. I want to get my draft in front of, I'm going to send it to Publix because like I said, I've seen, that's my local store. And I've seen, dogs in there. There was the incident with a dog piss. And I've actually spoken to the management there also and reminded them, it's like, because I've seen dogs in there and a few times. We don't get a lot of dogs in inappropriate places here. When we get them, I mean, you do see them. Like today, I didn't see a dog in a grocery store. Maybe every fourth or fifth time I will. And some of these stores are worse than others. Like, Walmart's like a dog show, but I don't go to Walmart that often, mainly just because there isn't one close by. It's just not convenient, but I try to stay out of there. Plus, it's not the greatest shopping experience either. But and I encourage other folks to do the same. I know when I post this, I'll make sure I have a link to the draft letter. Like I said, get it out to your congressmen and senators, and get it out in front of your local politicians, the the CEO and board of directors of your grocery chain, and say this is important. Really, if you're a customer, as a customer, this is important. It's like people should, the grocery store should not be a dog show, okay? That's not what it's meant for. Really, dogs are really no animals belong in these places. It's not a big ask. And like I said, if you do get a permitting system in place, I mean, that's the compromise. Ideally, we just have the whole thing vacated, but at least with a permitting system, you get rid of most of the fakes because most of those people really aren't motivated or sophisticated enough to get a fake ID, because people get fake IDs in other areas like, fake driver's licenses or whatever. But that doesn't mean that hard car driver's licenses are a bad idea. So yeah, I encourage everyone to do that. In any case, so that's all I had on the agenda for this one, folks. Let's see, did anyone else join? No, I think it's not just the three of us. So anyway, yeah, I really appreciated that video game demo. That was funny as hell.
Oh,
and that motivates me too. I'm going to do that. Maybe I'll even do that this weekend. Is dig up that Python game and that Python Space Invaders game and swap out the GIF. Because I seem to remember that, yeah, the way it worked was there was like for the aliens, I think there was like 3 GIFs, right? That would change as they moved across the street. I don't know if you've ever played Space Invaders. It's real old school, and they'll kind of go boom, 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 and they'll kind of waddle back and forth. So I could do something like that, but get Mick the Mauler's GIF in there. That would be funny as hell. I'm totally doing it. Totally, totally doing it. And I don't know how you publish something like that because it's a Python app. I mean, I could put it out in GitHub, I guess.
Itch.io is the place where people post, or people can upload their programs. People play.
I think with Python is to run it, it's an interpreted language. You need a runtime environment on your local for it to execute correctly. Not just that, but, with all the site packages and everything, it requires kind of a complicated runtime environment as opposed to, say, like JavaScript, where, every web browser has a JavaScript interpreter kind of built in. So, but I could at least demo it anyway. So, anywho, I think I'm going to. Did you folks have anything else you wanted to discuss?
Oh yeah, I've mentioned before how Rikert and I have played Fallout with the challenge of just shooting every single dog we see, and people's reactions when we shoot their dog is actually extremely similar to what happens when you shoot someone's dog in real life, because everybody will hate you and they will hunt you down.
Yeah.
And we were able to go into the sewers and get a horde of ghouls to cross paths with all of the dog mutters, and they just kind of wage war against each other eventually. So
these are the other players in the game, right? So the other players are in the game with their virtual dog, and you shoot their dog. You're not just shooting dogs in the game. These are dogs that actually virtual dogs that sort of belong to other players. Is that how it works?
It's a single player, so they're all computer programmed.
Right.
Computer programs.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know you get some of these multiplayer games where you could see something like that happen. Somebody's in a game, like a virtual VR game with their virtual dog, and somebody just walks up to them and shoots the dog.
That'd be funny if you could do that.
Yeah.
Because that if the people have their mic turned on, they're like, "Did you just kill my fucking dog?"
You didn't have to kill the dog. Well, I didn't have to. I just kind of wanted to. It just seemed like a good idea at the time. Yeah.
It came right at me. Didn't you see?
I had no other option.
I had no other option. You should teach your dog to read human body language. That's
seriously.
What needs to happen.
They need to read the body language of an armed citizen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as we're talking about, now we're kind of getting off on a tangent, but that another I should write all this stuff up, really the culture needs to change first with the legislative changes. And I think something that needs to change very badly is that, the shooting of dogs, particularly if you've got an off-leash, off-property dog, the shooting of those dogs needs to be decriminalized, okay? Because, right now, if the dog attacks somebody, if it goes off property and attacks somebody, they're like, well, call a lawyer. So you could just say, let's flip that around and say, well, you know what? You let your dog run the neighborhood. It happened to intersect the trajectory of a bullet. It sounds like a tragic accident. I mean, maybe your next dog, you should train him not to be in front of a gun when it goes off, because that's a big part of the problem. And it goes back to, why do people hesitate? Like that guy in Indiana, he shoots one dog and he probably realized oh shit, I'm now a criminal, and just ran away. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get, a stay in the Gray Bar Hotel. So he just disappeared. And that's probably why. But, people like that shouldn't have to worry about prosecution, particularly if it's a dog. If you got a dog, it's out of the owner's control, it's behaving dangerously. Those people need to be protected particularly by Stand Your Ground or Castle Dog. Not just those. I mean, stand your ground, definitely, but they should just be varminted. It's not a human being with rights. It's a dog, right? So,
and the owners also need to be charged for having their dog roaming at large, because I never see any of these people or these cops that have to shoot dogs in self-defense. I don't hear a single one of them asking, why wasn't it leashed? Why didn't you have it on a leash? They either just try to defend their position, which is understandable, but where's the blame being put on the owner? Like, if an owner is screaming at me for killing their dog, I'll just keep on repeating, why didn't you have it on a leash?
Yep. Yeah, it'd be like if you really wanted to mess with them, here's what we should do is, like, say you've got a dog that's off leash, off property, gets shot, who you charge? You charge the owner with animal cruelty, like, to really mess with them, because, like, who caused the incident, right? What's the root? Because the root cause was they, lost control of their dog, or even, deliberately turned it loose. Like, many times it's not so much that, I forgot to latch the door shut and he pushed his way out or something. They let their dogs, run the neighborhood intentionally. So it's like, well, if something bad happens to the dog, sounds like the owner's accountable for that. And the other thing I'd like to bring up too is, many of these cases where they, do charge people for, quote, animal cruelty. Think about how expensive that is. And it's like, we're giving all this protection to, not just the dogs themselves, but the dog owners. They have a ridiculous amount, way more protection in the legal system than the rest of us. And it's an outrage. It's totally unfair. It's unjust. It shouldn't be happening. But that's the thing is, we got to, sort of de-corrupt the system, make it more equitable.
Yeah,
for sure.
People need to just recognize that these things are not people.
Yep. Yeah.
And also, if you get a dog and its face is flat, you're feeding into animal cruelty.
Pug breeders are the real animal abusers here.
Oh, God. And it was not just that. I mean, there's a whole thing with the pit bulls, and these. I believe a pug actually is a molosser. They're like a second cousin to a pit bull, but they got all these, people say it's like, well, pit bulls are bred for blood sport and they have no place in our community. But how about, say, a husky or an Alaskan Malamute in Tampa, Florida, right, where it's like 90 degrees all the time, and it's living in an apartment. It's just not a fit place for a pet like that. Like, if you live in Alaska and you got 500 acres, great. But the thing is, they bring these dogs into environments that they're just totally unfit for. That was a point I was making with the grocery store also, was like, bringing a dog into a food store. It's like worse than bringing an alcoholic into a liquor store. It's just a terrible idea, but yet they keep doing these things. They claim to love these things so much, and they just sort of set them up to fail. Crazy. Anywho, I think I'm going to close it out, folks. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna get that Space Invaders game stood up. I think I might work on that today. Definitely by Monday. Right. Anyway, so I'm gonna close it out. Thanks to both of you for joining and for sharing. So, this Animal on Control. As always, people first. Thanks, folks.
Bye.
Later.